I dated him for 1 month, then he stalked me relentlessly for 7 months, threatened my life, and finally broke in. So I grabbed my gun and chose survival over silence. For the past 6 months I have been relentlessly stalked and had threats against my life made from someone I dated for a month. It started with phone calls upwards of 45 to 50 a day, 50-page text messages and him showing up outside of my house at 5 a.m. When I wouldn't not comply or feed the negative attention, I began to receive threats, claims that he would murder me and get away with it. All he would have to do is flee the country. Telling me he shouldn't have to force me to be his friend or give him another chance or else. Every time I blocked his number from contacting me, he would then call me from different ones, try and pretend to be other people or have his friends or sometimes even random strangers he'd ask on the street. I once scared an unsuspecting guy half to death after informing him that the person who had just told him to call me was actually stalking me, and I sent him proof. He ended up calling the police on him. He fled, of course. After about 2 months of that, I was evicted from my apartment building due to my neighbors no longer feeling safe because of his looming presence. I then applied for and was granted a TPO. A few days afterwards I received a picture message of the note the sheriff civil had left on the door of my stalker's then residence with a message taunting me that what you are trying to do was stupid and a restraining order is just a piece of paper. So ultimately he just ended up avoiding the process server, and simple as that. I was not being protected at all. May 31st of this year I relocated. This did not deter my stalker. He vowed to find wherever I moved to and threatened that if he couldn't find me he would be able to find my family, and then proceeded to send me a map of my mother's home whom he had never met. I received a message from a woman claiming to be my former landlord, letting me know that I owed a balance on my account and to avoid late fees I needed to pay the amount, which I could do with the link provided in the message. Turns out it was my stalker pretending to be a woman, and the link turned out to be a tool used to grab the user's IP address when they clicked the link. Upon this discovery I changed my phone number and began to systematically dismantle any trace of an online presence I once had. This action only seemed to anger him, and before deleting the profiles outright I would attempt to block him from contacting me. Each and every time I blocked one he simply created a new one and proceed to contact me as if nothing had happened. 12 different Reddit accounts, 9 different Tumblrs, 10 different Instagrams, 3 Meetup accounts, 4 Facebooks, with which he changed his location to that of my hometown and proceeded to add nearly everyone from my graduating class in high school, and even 3 Duolingo accounts and MySpace. Yes, MySpace. I then received an empty package from him addressed to my former residence with the declaration, "Address correction requested, do not forward." I'm assuming he thought that the post office would adhere to his requests and return the package to him with my new corrected address on it. Mid-July he created a profile using my photos and likeness to threaten my family. When I didn't respond he proceeded to post semi-nude pictures of me on the profile in attempt to blackmail me into speaking with him. I did not, and contacted Twitter to report the account and have it removed, which they eventually did. On August 21, 2014 I awoke around 8 p.m. to vigorous knocking and ringing of my doorbell. I look out my window to see who it is, and I was horrified to see my stalker there. I called the police and of course he fled once again. Over 7 separate police reports filed. This incident was followed by threatening emails from my stalker demanding that I meet him somewhere, or because he had found me that next time I would wake up to gunshots, and that if I didn't he would first taser you and rape you in the ass using your boyfriend's blood as lube. This past Sunday night I woke up at 6:45 a.m. to the ringing and banging again. I proceeded to recorded him on video while I was on the phone with the police. He fled on foot once again and I was hit with the same hoopla from law enforcement. Well, we can't really do much because technically at this point he's not doing anything wrong. Then why does he flee, I wonder? I obtained a TPO again, but I have no solid address for this dangerous person. Which is why I am in dire need of a private investigator to assist with finding said residence so this person can be served. I hope you might be able to refer me to someone who might be able to assist me. I've developed insomnia, depression, anxiety, and paranoia. I am completely isolated. I am 22 years old and I have no social life anymore. I have 0 friends. I've become a shell of my former self. I've faced eviction. And lost a job because of this man's behavior, and I don't know how much longer I can survive. There's actually so much more filler shit that he has done to terrorize me, but for the sake of this already lengthy post I tried to condense it. I have proof in the form of recordings, event diaries, and copies of all of his threats, interactions and attempts to communicate, and would be more than willing to email them to show I'm not lying. I am in LV if that helps at all. TLDR, people overuse the word stalking so much these days that no one takes it seriously anymore. As soon as someone doesn't like someone anymore they call them a stalker. This isn't staring at your ex's new lover's timeline longer than you healthily should. This is the real, scared to sleep at night deal. I have felt the fear before and it's eating away at me. I need help. Badly. Edit, whoever has gilded me gold, wow. Thank you so much. As pathetic as it may seem, Redditors and Imgurians have seriously been one of my only sources of comfort and human interaction for the past few months. You've no idea how much these communities helped out my constant sadness. I see you are / you guys seriously rock. Thanks for being here for me. Relevant comments. Commenter, can you post the video? OP, yes, but I'm on the phone with the police during the video. I'm not 100% sure how to blurt out certain information like my address and my phone number from the audio in the video. OP comments, 3 days later. Commenter, damn, I remember talking to an old friend of mine from Vegas who was saying she'll get a CCW soon. I kind of think I should forward this to her. Soon just doesn't seem soon enough. OP, do it. My gun saved my life. Update, 2 weeks from OG post. Image description, a photo of the slightly open door. The chair is in front, pushed to the side. Black paint is covering the side of the door that has been busted in. Arrows, most likely from crime scene units, are stuck to the door pointing to individual spots. I'm writing this staring at the mess the police left for me, in a bit of a fog. After 6 months of stalking and threats against my life, my stalker finally snapped and decided to kick my door in and make good on his promise. Out of fear, the past month I had begun sleeping with a chair propped against my front door, to give myself a few extra precious seconds in case of emergency. I shudder to think how differently things might have turned out had I not barricaded the door. I awoke around 1:15 a.m. to the sound of the door giving way after one kick, followed by the sounds of my stalker struggling to dislodge the chair while forcing his way inside. I jumped up and grabbed the gun I've learned to do everything, even shower with. I stood at the top of my stairs and fired twice. Hitting him in the chest, I hear his scream, his disbelief that I'd stood up for myself. 0 to 100 in milliseconds. I've never been so afraid in my life. I do not know if he is living, but I do know the police have him, and that's what helps the most. For months of him evading the police, I began to question whether he was unstoppable. Untraceable. Houdini, he would murder me and get away with it. As of now, I'm in a haze of guilt, surprise, relief, and disbelief. I shook as the canines drag him out from his hiding place under a bush. I survived, where so many people do not. Holy shit, I survived. Edit, the outpouring of support is wild. I can't thank you guys enough. Everyone can be a critic, and the fact still remains, you don't know what you will do in a situation until it's presented in front of you. Those who believe there was other things to be done have never had someone tell you that you no longer deserve to draw breath and mean it. And for that should have fired a warning shot, folks, there are no warning shots. A gun is a deadly force. You only pull that trigger if you are in fear for your life, and all other methods of deterring are gone. When he kicked my door in, there was no longer a deterrent preventing harm. Warning shots are dangerous and could hurt the unintended. This is not a Wild West movie. That's what responsible gun ownership is. I'll update once things have calmed down a bit, I promise. I'll write back to everyone, and after being isolated for so long, anyone who wants to be friends, I am always accepting those. Link to news article, Las Vegas, Nevada, a woman shot her stalker after he kicked in her back door. She had been living in fear, showering with a gun and propping a chair up against her door for just this sort of situation. Her post to Reddit made the story go viral. She writes, I'm writing this staring at the mess the police left for me, in a bit of a fog. After 6 months of stalking and threats against my life, my stalker finally snapped and decided to kick my door in and make good on his promise. Out of fear, the past month I had begun sleeping with a chair propped against my front door, to give myself a few extra precious seconds in case of emergency. I shudder to think how differently things might have turned out had I not barricaded the door. Police say former boyfriend Douglas Eugene Jackson, 22, kicked in her door at around 1 a.m. last Friday. I awoke around 1:15 a.m. to the sound of the door giving way after one kick, followed by the sounds of my stalker struggling to dislodge the chair while forcing his way inside. I jumped up and grabbed the gun I've learned to do everything, even shower with. I stood at the top of my stairs and fired twice. Hitting him in the chest, I hear his scream, his disbelief that I'd stood up for myself, said the victim in a blog post. KVVU-TV reports that Jackson left the scene and tried to hide in some bushes. Police dogs quickly found the stalker. He was treated for his injuries at University Medical Center of Southern Nevada. Jackson now faces charges of home invasion and aggravated stalking. For months of him evading the police, I began to question whether he was unstoppable. Untraceable. Houdini, he would murder me and get away with it. As of now, I'm in a haze of guilt, surprise, relief, and disbelief. I shook as the canines drag him out from his hiding place under a bush, the victim writes in a post to Imager. The victim does not wish to be identified, has saved many threatening texts and social media posts from her stalker. She says he forced her to move, obtain a restraining order, and acquire a license to carry a concealed weapon. The victim followed up with a note, "The outpouring of support is wild. I can't thank you guys enough. Everyone can be a critic and the fact still remains, you don't know what you will do in a situation until it's presented in front of you. Those who believe there was other things to be done have never had someone tell you that you no longer deserve to draw breath and mean it. And for the should have fired a warning shot, folks, there are no warning shots, a gun is a deadly force, you only pull that trigger if you are in fear for your life and all other methods of deterring are gone. When he kicked my door in, there was no longer a deterrent preventing harm. Warning shots are dangerous and could hurt the unintended. This is not a Wild West movie. That's what responsible gun ownership is." Daily Mail has an article on the case, along with text evidence submitted by OP here. Update on case, 6 years later. Editor's note, this is 6 years after the original events, but is the same man. He did this to a different woman in 2019, while on parole. They refer to OOP as the former girlfriend in Las Vegas, even though she only went on 2 dates with him. Reno, Nevada, AP. A Nevada man has been sentenced to 15 years in prison after pleading guilty to stalking a female acquaintance while on parole for a similar crime that happened in Las Vegas. The Washoe County District Attorney's Office in Reno announced the sentence for 28-year-old Douglas Eugene Jackson on Friday. Jackson was arrested in Florence, Arizona in January and pleaded guilty to the aggravated stalking charge in July. According to prosecutors, an investigation by the Sparks Police Department determined Jackson had sent numerous threatening text messages to a woman over several months in 2019. The texts included threats against the woman's dog and property. He also called the woman's family and friends in an effort to get information about her. At the time of the threats, Jackson was on parole for stalking a former girlfriend in Las Vegas. That woman ended up shooting him at her home. Editor's note, this was OOP in 2014. He served about 5 years in prison after OOP shot him per the https://ofdsearch.doc.nv.gov website. If you search his name, his details come up. According to the District Attorney's Office, Prosecutor Travis Lucia sought a maximum sentence because of the terrifying nature of Jackson's conduct, which came after only a month on parole for the previous crime. Jackson was living in Washoe County at the time of the threats but had no steady address. In 2023, a woman on TikTok claimed to be the OP from 2014. There was an article written about that here, text copied below. September 20, 2023, 9 years later, Deja Washington was 22 years old when she agreed to go on a date with a man. After the second date, she decided she wasn't really feeling it and told him. In a post to TikTok, she has since revealed how just 3 weeks of knowing the man turned into her being stalked for a whopping 7 months. In a video uploaded to her TikTok account, Washington says she had a lot of other stuff going on at the time and explained this to her date, who said it was okay. Washington walked away from the connection thinking everything was fine. But a month and a half later and the date had very much changed his tune. TikTok account, Washington's date later decided that everything was not fine and began messaging her hundreds of times a day. He argued he was a good man and deserved a chance. At first I blew it off and I was kind of annoyed. I was like, who do you think you are? But then it started to get really scary really quickly. He started sending me pictures of the outside of my house telling me that he was planning a raid. Camera TikTok account. Washington received messages and calls from the man for over a month and started filing police reports, the man taking pictures of her doing so and of her talking to the police. Washington explains he would even talk to strangers and her neighbors, so she couldn't trust anybody. She eventually had to move out of her apartment because a restraining order truly is just a piece of paper, left unable to sleep because he would threaten he was outside and was planning to break in. TikTok account. Washington claims she went to the police 5-10 times and filed like 10 police reports, but says she was told there wasn't anything they could do as he hadn't hurt her. She eventually moved house, but her stalker posed as her former landlord, used packages and social media to try and track her down. The man threatened to kill her and said he knew he was going to get away with it because he was a white man and she was a black woman. Washington was later assigned a detective to her case, but the first time she met him she says he revealed he'd met her stalker who seemed like a nice guy and suggested it could be a misunderstanding. I knew in that moment this man was going to kill me and he was going to get away with it. TikTok account. Washington's stalker changed phone numbers and even used Duolingo to try contact her, and it was when Washington registered to vote, he finally found her address. She resolved to buy a firearm, despite being very anti-guns after her parents were shot when she was younger. The man kept demanding they meet, threatening if Washington didn't he would grate her and use her blood as lube, and frequently turned up at her door, dodging police. But suddenly, he went completely quiet. TikTok account, in September, he came for her, kicking her door in. Washington said, I remember just grabbing my firearm off the table and I wasn't angry, I wasn't upset. I had just made a decision that it's either him or it's me and I choose me. And I shot him. The police later found Washington's stalker, his injuries leaving him unable to run, and he was sentenced to jail. Washington went on to work at a gun range and took part in Refuse to be a Victim courses to help other women feel empowered to protect themselves. She now works at a big tech company and never takes any moment of life for granted. Washington's stalker, Douglas Eugene Jackson, was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Moving on to the next story, and it says, my ex-girlfriend opened up 2 credit cards in my name after we broke up. She ran up about $7,500 in debt, mainly shopping at Nordstrom and Macy's. Her current boyfriend is now threatening me. My ex and I broke up a little more than a year ago. We lived together for a couple of years and I know she would have had access to my financial information. When we broke up, I moved out of the house we were renting and I had everything of mine. Back in February when I was doing my taxes, I realized I could not find my folder with my previous year's tax returns anywhere. I assumed it got lost in the move and didn't think anything else of it. Last Friday, I got served for a lawsuit to the tune of over $5,000 for a defaulted credit card. When I went and actually pulled my credit, I saw that card had been defaulted since May and there was another one which had been closed since June for about $2,500. Seeing as I had no knowledge about this, I immediately disputed both of the accounts on all 3 bureaus' websites. I was able to talk with someone for one of the cards and they said it was opened in January, well after I had moved out of my old house, and the cards were sent there. I received the statements from the one card and it was probably 80% Nordstrom/Macy's, 2 of the stores my ex loved shopping at. Pretty sure she was the one who opened the accounts, probably used my social security number from the old tax returns. I called my ex about it and she denied everything, even when I told her that eventually, if she had anything shipped to the house using a stolen credit card, she's going to get found out. She flipped and started screaming at me saying I can't seriously accuse her of anything and to never talk to her again. About 20 minutes later I get a call from a blocked number. It was her boyfriend threatening to make my life a living hell unless I stopped harassing her by claiming she stole my identity. He hung up but I was shaken up about it. I can see he's got some serious felonies just by looking at the public records on the county website. I'm kind of stuck here. I'm opening myself up to retaliation if I go forward with anything from someone who has charges of aggravated arson and aggravated discharge of a firearm, in addition to a few battery charges. I can't just not do anything though. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Relevant comments, commenter, copying this for every identity theft situation I see on here, since it seems to happen a lot, where you know who the person is who stole your identity. This is all information you can find in this sub and others. 1. Call the police. You're the victim of identity theft, plain and simple. It doesn't matter who did it or what your relationship is to them. They broke the law, now they have to face the consequences of their actions. 2. Freeze your credit. You want to make sure it doesn't happen again. Take the proactive route of freezing your credit. 3. Monitor and track your credit. You need to be alerted if anyone tries opening a line of credit in your name. This gives you a way to do it for free and it shows your credit score. 4. Warn anyone else who might be a victim. This includes family members or anyone else whose social security number might be compromised by the thief. 5. Take the police report to the credit bureaus. Give them the report number when you dispute all of the accounts. Most of the time, that will be enough for them to take the accounts off of your credit. It's on the creditors themselves to prove the accounts are legitimately yours and the bureaus aren't going to get in the middle of it. A police report goes a long way in clearing up your credit. Don't take identity theft lying down, even if it's someone close to you. If you let them get away with it, get ready for 5 to 10 years of bad credit, collection agencies coming after you, lawsuits, etc. For this specific case, you need to go to the police like now. This guy seems like an incredibly violent person. I would get a restraining order as soon as possible. Does he know where you live? I also would not contact your ex at all about anything else. Let it all go through the court system. OP, I plan on calling the police. I was just kind of freaked out about the whole situation. How do I get the police report to the credit companies? Commenter 2, file a police report for the fraud. Contact the lenders and provide the police report number and jurisdiction. Let the police/bank sort it out. Provide all that info to the lawyers that filed the suit and bring it all to court. Do not skip a court date. Update, 1 month later I followed the advice in the comments and went to the police. Quick and painless process, I was in and out in maybe 30 minutes with a report number. I never received another call from my ex or her BF. I gave the report number to the credit card companies and the credit bureaus. I was told I didn't have to do anything else at that point but to show up to the court date for the lawsuit. I learned through a mutual friend today that my ex was arrested this morning. Apparently the county put out a warrant for her last week, pulled her over on the way to work. It looks like she was charged and released pretty quickly. Also, I learned my ex and the BF who threatened me are no longer together. I don't think I have to worry about him anymore. The court date for the lawsuit is later this month, but everything has already fallen off my report. My score has gone up probably 200 points. I'm still going to the court date just to make sure everything is good, but it's looking like all good news from here on out. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, that's awesome news. Your story will also serve as inspiration for others to pursue justice when they've been wronged. Commenter 2, make sure you put a freeze on your SSN with all 3 credit bureaus if you haven't done so already. Moving on to the next story, and it says, I, 23F, am days away from giving birth and my 37M boyfriend just decided to tell me that he can't be at the birth. So first off, I know the age gap probably should have been a red flag, but I was stupid. We've been together for 2 years, but he lives in a different city. When I got pregnant, he said he was going to move to my city and we would move in together. He just needed to finalize some things with his ex-wife. He told me he was divorced when we met and I never had any reason to question it. I knew that he had 2 kids with her as well. He told me the truth about that, just not that he wasn't divorced, or even separated. So fast forward, I'm 39 weeks and he suddenly got uncommunicative, which is less than ideal when you're literally about to give birth. Bear in mind that he was supposed to have been fully moved in here a month ago, blamed COVID. Today I found out I am going to be induced on Monday unless baby decides to come out over the weekend, so I contacted him and I was like, okay, what's going on? And that's when he told me that he isn't actually separated or divorced. He never told his wife about anything, and now he felt like he was backed into a corner. I don't feel sorry for him for that because that's his own fault, but obviously literally 4 days before giving birth isn't the time you want to get this news, and I have no idea what to do now. Tell him to fuck off, obviously, but what else? I feel like I can take care of the baby, but I was preparing to have a partner to take care of it with me, you know? I don't even know what I'm asking for in terms of advice, but any advice for moving forward and handling this is appreciated. Relevant comments. Commenter, lawyer the FUCK up. Get DNA tests, make sure he pays you what he owes you. This is horrible and I am so sorry he did this crap. He had no right. Do you have anybody else that can be there with you? Mom, friend, support? OP, I'm going to try to contact a doula organization like someone in this thread suggested. My mom can't be here because she's out of state, thanks COVID. I was dumb enough to think that he'd be here. Oh man, every negative belief I have about relationships with large age gaps gets confirmed once again. What to do? Other than getting child support from him, there's not much else you can do. Do you really want this guy in your life any more than absolutely necessary? OP, yeah, it's not a good choice. I wish I could go back and tell my naive self to run away. I wish I could zap him out of my life at all, but, you know. JPK 36, this is a horrible situation. Did you never go to his place of residence? How could he hide something like from you for 2 years? You never asked to meet his kids once it got serious? Hopefully you stick it to him. Make him take responsibility even if it's just financially. OOP, he had an apartment. I get the feeling that I wasn't the first person he tried this on. Told me his ex-wife had full custody, blah 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 blah, typical shady story I should have seen through. He was really good at making it all sound realistic. He came to my city for work frequently, so a lot of the time we were here, but he really had all his bases covered. JW6571, so, again, you never met his children? If a man has children but never has them, then there's something wrong. OOP, yup. I never once met them. I realize now that this is something I should have seen as a red flag. I think I'm a pretty smart person, but let me tell you, this has made me feel like a huge idiot. Commenter, do you have proof that he's been lying this whole time? You're going to need it. OP, I'm a sentimental hoarder, so I have lots of texts and stuff. Going to make sure that I screenshot any time he talked about his divorce/custody/anything else he lied about. Edit, thank you all. It seems like getting legal help is priority 1. I'm just in shock right now. Like I almost feel numb, but I really appreciate everyone here for your help. I was really happy and looking forward to baby, and I just feel really sad right now, so I need to take a breather. Everything is ready for the baby and I'm still excited to meet them, but Jesus. Edit 2, in bold this time. In addition to all kinds of weird comments, I'm getting all kinds of weird PMs, so I think I need to just take a deep breath, walk away, mindlessly binge watch something stupid for a while and cry my face off tonight. I called around to a few family lawyers in my area, and the advice I got from posting here has been absolutely brilliant, but I'm running out of the SAS/Steam to deal with anything else that's happening here, so I'm just going to check out. I'm going to leave the legal business to the lawyers, pray that he didn't give me false information and I can actually find him, and try to remember how much I was looking forward to being a mom before all of this happened. I don't really care if people think it's fake or whatever because I gained exactly nothing, aside from the advice that I needed, from making this post, and I gain exactly nothing from arguing. To everyone who shared their stories with me, thank you. Thank you so much. You feel like the dumbest fucking person in the world when this happens to you, and knowing it happens to people all the time is a weird comfort even when you wouldn't wish it on anybody. I don't think of myself as a trashy or generally stupid person, just a person who was blinded by love and naivety and has learned a really hard lesson a really hard way. I doubt anything of monumental concern will happen between now and my Monday induction, but once baby is here I will try to come back and let people know what's happening. Update: 1 week later. First things first, I had my healthy baby girl on Monday evening. We were discharged shortly after birth due to COVID, so I have been just trying to adjust to everything. Her birth was a dream and I never want to do it again. LOL. Second, I talked to his wife for over an hour yesterday. I guess he decided to tell her. She wasn't mad at me, thank God. She'd had her suspicions but was trying to trust her husband, which I understand. She was so nice honestly, and even though she isn't angry at me I still feel bad because she's such a nice lady. She wanted to make sure I was doing okay and that I didn't need anything, which made me cry because postpartum hormones are whack. She's getting a divorce from him, good for her TBH. We are planning to meet up and talk shit about him once the virus is over. I have a lawyer and will establish custody and child support legally ASAP. He hasn't bothered to contact me at all, but I don't particularly care. I didn't want to leave anyone hanging even though it's not a huge update. Thank you to everyone who checked in. It means a lot. Edit: image removed because commenter said it was okay to love. Also, I'm all set with everything baby needs. With things being as they are, consider donating to a local diaper formula bank. Save your money for awards on this post too and put it toward that. Help babies and mamas who don't have the resources I do. Relevant comments. Commenter: out of curiosity, did she reach out to you? Did your ex give her your number? OP: he refused, so she went through his phone to find me. She's a petty badass and I love her. Commenter: that was a far better outcome than expected. I hope a friendship between the two of you blossoms and the siblings can get to know one another. Don't be surprised if she does step back though. This must be incredibly hard for her. Although it wasn't your fault, you will always be a reminder that her husband cheated and her marriage is over. OP: oh absolutely. She will need time to grieve. I want to support her in whatever way I can, even if it means us stepping away from each other. She's a great lady who ended up in a shitty situation.